So there's a Hatsune Miku Gacha rhythm game that has one of the best written trans characters I've ever seen in any media ever. And I'm shocked to report that because, especially due to Japan not necessarily having the best relationship with the LGBT community, I have some videos there if that interests you. However, this video is not about my experiences. This video is about Mizuki Akiyama, a character from Project Sekai Colorful Stage, which, like I said, is a Hatsune Miku Vocaloid themed rhythm game that surprisingly has the best written trans character I've ever seen. Now, the reason I found out about them was due to a certain viral event that occurred, a certain event in game that made a lot of people aware of Mizuki. And I'm going to talk about that event at the end of the video to avoid spoilers for anyone that happened to have not seen that. So I'm going to cover Mizuki as a character, stuff related to her gender I find interesting, and little bits along the way, and why I think she's the best trans character I've seen so far. So enjoy this little journey, and let's explore a surprisingly well-written character in, again, a mobile rhythm gacha game. Before talking about any specific backstory things, I'll highlight why I think this character on a really surface level has resonated with trans, femboy, and cross-dressers alike. You see, this is an idol rhythm game where people get to be cute idols and dance and enjoy fun songs. Now, there's something inherently cool about finally getting to feel a part of those kind of games due to being able to play as a trans woman in a cute idol game with cute little dances. I've been really enjoying learning the dances in particular, and I think it's really cool to see a trans woman dancing on the stage alongside the other characters and treated fairly and equally amongst them. I think that on a surface level makes Mizuki very easy to project onto, and while that's not a specific analysis or whatever, I just want to highlight the obvious gender euphoria of getting to play as a cute trans girl in an idol game about dancing to cute songs. Inherently, that's very cool. So with that out of the way, let's cover Mizuki's backstory. You see, the game didn't explicitly mention Mizuki's gender. Honestly, they still haven't. I think that's a good disclaimer to make. Now, she's really transcoded. If she ends up being non-binary, cool. If she ends up being a trans woman, cool. It's hard to say right now. The game's pointing to her being a binary trans woman, however, just keep that in mind. So inside the game Project Sekai, there's various side events you can watch and enjoy, various little stories about all the various characters. In one of the earlier ones they did, there's one about Mizuki's childhood. Now, Mizuki's childhood is expressed very subtly and doesn't explicitly mention Mizuki being assigned male at birth, however heavily implies it. In various cutscenes taking place in the past, Mizuki is seen wearing the boy's uniform and presenting mask. However, when Mizuki was very young, she tried on various cute clothes made by her sister, who's a fashion designer, because every time there's a cool trans character, their siblings happen to be a fashion designer or they know someone that can give them the cute clothes. That would have been very cool growing up, but what are you going to do? So Mizuki fell in love with all these cute clothes, and the game does imply that she got into sewing pretty early. And I think a really cool bit of environmental storytelling that they do is that in the earlier scenes when Mizuki's presenting mask, she has a different background for her room in the game. And her room is empty and it's not filled with that many things. It's a bed, a computer, pretty minimal. Doesn't really express who she is, I guess. And I guess what I found really cool was throughout that specific story event, when she was finally encouraged to be herself, well, her room's different now. She's given various mannequins and cute clothes by said sister, and then from that point in the game, Mizuki's room looks like someone who loves sewing's paradise. So many mannequins and cute clothes all around, and that feels more indicative of who she is. I think the focus on Mizuki's hobbies and her relationship with cute things is sometimes viewed as more important than the gender itself, which I think is an interesting way to approach it. Mizuki's story is less explicitly about gender and more about Mizuki expressing the hobbies that she likes. sewing cute clothes, that kind of thing. And they touch on her loving video editing, which I obviously resonate with because I happen to edit videos. Now, the story does imply that Mizuki was likely bullied or harassed before presenting femme. I don't know if Mizuki presented femme as a really little kid at preschool or something, and that rumor stuck, or it's just general feminine presentation and mannerisms. But for whatever reason, earlier in the story, Mizuki was unfortunately bullied for being weird, quote unquote, and doing this all for attention, which is something trans people can relate to very strongly. Various students make lots of uncomfortable remarks to Mizuki. So in this early event, she's mostly seen on the rooftop by herself until someone arrives. The character is named Rui, and Rui is a very good friend for Mizuki, and it's really cool to see how they really bonded together in that early stage of Mizuki's life. However, I wish to mention in this part of the video that I think Mizuki and Rui are the greatest ship in the game. I wish to say that with full confidence. I have nowhere else in the video to mention that, so just letting you know, I love this ship a lot. They are very cute. I love them. With learning all this stuff about Mizuki, despite it being very vague, I feel like even from this point, various people from trans, femboy, non-binary communities could relate to Mizuki very strongly. A lot of us can understand what it's like to be viewed as strange or weird for daring to want to present femme and cute. It's a story about someone wanting to be themselves and the world rejecting them. That resonates to the trans experience very strongly and various other experiences. I think the story's focus instead on Mizuki's identity, not related to gender specifically, but wanting to enjoy cute things and enjoy sewing. I think that allowed Mizuki to resonate with not just trans people, but anyone that can relate to feeling rejected for their interests. I think this is a key thing Mizuki does really well and humanizes her a lot, is that her story isn't explicitly about being transgender. Her story is about being herself. And I think that's pretty incredible. The way they humanize this experience, I think, has never been outdone, actually. I could see myself from the past in those scenarios really strongly. It made me a bit emotional when I played through these little stories. I'd say a big reason Mizuki is particularly popular is due to her group Nightcord, which is totally not based on Discord, which, by the way, we have a Discord server. Feel free to join, link in the description. But the point is that I think a lot of the queer community can really relate to Nightcord as an overall group, which makes people like the whole group. You know what I mean? I think the overall found family online friendship aspect resonates with the entire queer community, or just anyone that felt rejected by society in a general sense, and they did it really well. I think all members of Nightcord have really interesting arcs, and they are definitely my favorite characters in the entire game. No bias in Mizuki, of course. I think something so interesting with Mizuki intersecting with all this, in fact, is the group's overall goal, I guess. Making music that feels painful but makes you feel good. It's a very, what's the word? It's music that helps you in a tough time. Music that talks about really rough and horrible things, but the rawness of it is what resonates with so many people that feel, well, they don't feel seen. And I think having all the characters that do all these beautiful songs about pain be people that are rejected by society, every single one of them, I find that an interesting angle for this group. It makes them really stick out compared to everyone else. Not that the other characters have trauma bonding, but Nightcord, it's sad girl hours at 25 p.m. is all I'm saying. It's definitely the most intense storyline, so if you can't handle more intense storylines, that's chill, because Mizuki is in various side stories that are more happy. So there's something for everyone. But I think Mizuki being part of Nightcord, I think, was a really good decision by the game. I think she would have fit in any of the groups, but I don't think it would have worked as well. I think just the group collectively bonding and having a safe environment to be themselves online Well, that's an experience a lot of us can relate to. I think that is another core part of why Mizuki has resonated with so many people. So many people in the queer community and anywhere where you felt rejected by society in a sense. I think Nightcord really resonates as just a group of musicians just chilling on Discord at 25 p.m. and just making music that evokes feeling, pain, but also a sense of beauty. And I think that's why the group has resonated with so much of the fan base, and thus has made Mizuki a big character as a result. Not Mizuki individually fully, but definitely a big part of it. The ensemble that Mizuki is a part of, it really elevates her character. An interesting part of that is Mizuki's own relationship with the group. She likes that she has a space where she can just be herself, where her past isn't exactly mentioned. She purposely keeps who she is, her past, a secret from the group for a very, very long time. Because something that trans people can really relate to is not just not wanting them to know. She's afraid of them treating her differently. She knows in her heart they'll be nice and kind to her, but I think what bothers her, based on how she speaks, is she's more afraid of the status quo that's been created to change. She doesn't want to just be seen as a girl that was different, like a trans girl or a non-binary person. She just wants to be any other girl that's just chilling, and she's seen for who she is outside of her gender. And I think her just wanting to be a regular girl in a sense and just chill and make music and the music videos like she always has and had the same type of connections. Her fear of it changing, her fear of it being different. I think that is such a big core of Mizuki's character, and I think that's why she's resonated so much with people. She's not afraid of people knowing that she was assigned male at birth. She's afraid of people treating her differently because she was assigned male at birth. She's afraid of not being able to just be a regular person and just chill and have fun. That's her fear, and I think that resonated very strongly with a lot of people. So even if Mizuki doesn't disclose her past to Nightcord, she does disclose her overall feelings, and she does this through the music they create, and I find this a really cool and a sneaky way to express what Mizuki's feeling. The song Id Smile, I hope I said that right, really demonstrates this, and there are a lot of very interesting lyrics. Let's take a look. So I'm actually going to look at one line that I find really interesting, and I'm going to use my Japanese degree for literally anything, so bear with me. So there's one line at the end where she's explicitly afraid of people finding out her secret. The secret being assigned male at birth, that kind of thing. So they use the word himegoto instead of himitsu, which is the word I typically see for the word secret. Himegoto, I haven't seen that often for the word secret. This might just be my inexperience, but this is my assumption, okay? So the word himegoto maybe is referring to the word hime, princess, and the goto being like the word koto, which is thing. So perhaps she's afraid of the princess thing. That could be in relation to her identity. That's just me being an attempt to be overly analytical. But that was my interesting note. I find the choice of himegoto interesting. I haven't heard that word that often. I've only come across himitsu. But who knows? I'm only like N2 Japanese, so I'm not as experienced as I should be. But just thought I'd share that interesting note, just in case it means something. Tobikoraranai, minority, susumenai, ikidomari demo, sunaidetai nara, hazusunai, himegoto. Hopefully I did that okay. So there's one more event in the game that I'd like to bring up before mentioning the big one. So some people know Mizuki's past because they went to her school. Nightcord don't because they don't. But I guess an interesting thing to note is there's some scenes where some of the characters intersect. As a result, Mizuki's vulnerability is very obvious. So there is a scene in one of the events, I'll try to write it down for later which one, But there's a bigger on, someone that does know Mizuki's past, bumps into Anna and the rest of the group. Anna specifically asks On what kind of person Mizuki was in the past. And Mizuki is very uncomfortable, scared even, very vulnerable. But On does something interesting. She can tell the discomfort and simply describes the current Mizuki, who she is now, is intentionally vague to keep the secret a secret, and thus Mizuki's status quo is saved. I find it interesting how both An and Rui make a good conscious effort to ensure that Mizuki can still be herself. Their concern being that they know Mizuki doesn't want to be seen differently, and Nightcord is one of the few social interactions she has consistently where she's just her, she's just Mizuki. She doesn't have to worry about the past. And it's cool that her childhood friends manage to maintain that and protect her for when she's ready. You hear that? It's the sound of the ominous bells tolling. If you want to avoid spoilers that aren't currently in the live English version of Project Sekai Colorful Stage, here is a timestamp to skip. As a note, this section is a bit darker than the rest of the video as it deals. I'm going to wait for people to skip. But if you want to triple check, I'm going to talk about outing, which is a very difficult thing for trans people. Now, let's talk about the recent event that made Mizuki go viral. Mizu 5, as they call it. So, this event definitely put Mizuki on the map. I think it's the most explicit they've ever been about Mizuki's gender. And there's an interesting thing I want to note before I talk about it. In one of the earliest events in the game, where Mizuki and Anna are on a rooftop talking, Mizuki tries to tell Anna her secret. And she couldn't do it. And Anna says that's okay, and she can tell her when she's ready. Mizuki exclaims to herself, "If only someone else could tell her for me." Unfortunately for Mizuki, her wish became reality. In the Mizu 5 event, Student A, as we mentioned earlier, unintentionally I'll add, but still does it, outs Mizuki to Anna at a school festival. Mizuki was right about to tell her. She was ready to tell her, but the opportunity was taken away because someone outed her. That's the scariest thing a trans person can experience. That's the scariest thing any trans person can just feel. It's scary. Someone knowing against your own terms is very vulnerable. It feels way worse than telling someone yourself. I've had moments like that. They're scary. And you can really feel Mizuki's fear. And I think the phenomenal voice performance of Mizuki's VA demonstrates that pain and how everything closes in. I think this allowed even cis audiences to understand that this is a worst case scenario for Mizuki. Fear is only an understatement. Unfortunately, everything closes in, and she runs away. Currently in the Japanese version of the game, Mizuki can only be found in one location, in solitude. Now, she can't be viewed of all the other characters. And that's very powerful for a gacha game. To specifically make the character disappear, in a sense, and no one knows where she is. We have to wait for a future event to find out what happens to Mizuki. And it's going to be a long wait. But I think knowing the tone of this game, it will work out in the end. But there'll be tough moments. This is just a particular climactic moment for Mizuki's story. And I really look forward to see how they resolve it. If I were to take a guess, I'm guessing that either Rui, An, or Mizuki's sister, or all three, have an event together where they help Mizuki know it's okay to come back, that it's safe. And for it to end with a scene with Nightcord saying that they won't view Mizuki any different. They accept her, but won't treat her differently. They can still be friends and things go on. That's my assumption of where it's going to go. I think they can do a lot of powerful things, especially with Rui and Mizuki's sister's relationship with Mizuki. I think that'd be an interesting angle to go for. But until then, we have to wait. And English speakers don't get to see this event until a year from now. So, if you're watching this video a year from now, hi. It'll be okay. But if you're watching now and you want to try this game out, I do recommend it. It's a fun rhythm game, and I haven't had to buy the gacha stuff. You can mostly avoid it. It's only if you really want specific cards and stats. You can play the rhythm game just fine. You can play as many songs as you want. You're not limited to how much you can play, and just watching the story gives you cards that let you unlock more songs, which I think is really cool. And if you at the start of the game pick the purple option at the start of the game, you'll unlock Mizuki right from the gate. You'll have a Mizuki that you can watch dance to the songs and the rest of Nightcord, which is very convenient. And you might get lucky and get a cool, powerful Mizuki. But there's stuff that lets you upgrade characters. So you can do what I did and get the basic Mizuki and upgrade them to heck. So yeah, if you see this profile card in your Project Sekai lobbies on the English version of the game, that's me. Let's play funny songs. I hope you enjoy this very different video. I, for a very long time, wanted to make a series about trans representation one by one. It's hard to make a video just about all of them in one go, so I wanted to make a series of like each one by one. And I'm curious how this video was received. I hope to make more. People seemed very interested in this idea going in, and the Mizu 5 thing was a very great opportunity to give it a go. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, subscribe, comment, hit the bell, and let me know what trans character you want me to look at next. I was thinking of maybe doing Bridget from Guilty Gear next, because I think the last time we had a really popular trans character emerge was Bridget. So I guess Japan's on a roll of trans characters somehow. Happy for them. But yeah, there's all sorts of options. So I'll be sure to make more and intertwine it with the usual content. If you like anything trans related in your YouTube watching experiences, feel free to subscribe. We make very happy videos about happy things. This is probably the darkest video I've ever done. So if you can handle this, everything else is light and fluffy in comparison. And do you like this new camera angle? I'm experimenting. The natural light comes in and I think it looks a bit better. On that note, I shall depart. Grab some snacks, that kind of thing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay hydrated and know that you are valid.